Okay, we're live.
Yay!
Sitting here in my coat. It's my wintry coat, though. Look, it's all
No,
snuggly. Um. It is. What day is it? The Monday, the 5th of December, 2022. I know you said 2012 then. For those of you joining us live, if you want to drop us a comment and let us know you can see and hear us all right, that would be awesome. My name's Heidi Mavir. I'm the founder of EOTAS Matters. We work supporting families of children and young people whose kids have barriers to attendance and who need to unlock support through the EHCP system in England. But I also do a lot of work with this magnificent human here, Kate Jones, who is a psychotherapist and a member of the team at Neuroclastic. And Kate and I run together a program called NeuroCurious for parents and carers in neurodivergent households. And we also run a 5-week program together called Unstoppable Parents. And we do things together. She's my person. Hello.
Hi. Hi, person.
Also, she's historically had a lot of difficulty with her microphone, but it's properly sorted itself out today. And now you sound like you're like in a recording studio. It's proper impressive.
I know. It's an ongoing drama.
Feast or famine. Yeah. So if you're watching live, let us know that you're watching along live. If you're watching on replay, let us know if you're watching on replay. If you want to, you don't have to. We're not the boss of you. So we thought we'd have a conversation today, and we have entitled it, "It's beginning to look a lot like fuck this." Subtitle is "The most ableist time of the year." Conversation with one of our cohort about how tricky this time of year is for lots of us. Not specifically Christmas as such, but holiday times, religious festivals. Just like that time of year when there's all of this, all of the expectation, all of the frickin' Elf on the Shelf, and all of that other carry on. And so we just thought we'd share today some thoughts around that, and just have a bit of a conversation. So, Kate, why Christmas? Why is this?
It's a great question.
Why Christmas? Why holiday times? Why is this such a lot of difficult for so many people?
Well, I mean, any number of reasons. The intersections of lots of things. So Christmas is a time where historically there's a lot of pressure to do things as a family, or maybe with your family of origin, who you might have contact with in difficult relationships, you might be estranged from, you might struggle to be with. It might be that you're okay now, but it is actually ground zero for a lot of trauma from yesteryear, and that you still feel when you're in contact. It's also a time when people can feel a lot of pressure to do things in a particular way. There's a lot of pressure and demands and messages around what doing Christmas right means. The Christmas music starts, the adverts start, and already there's it has to be magical. If it's not magical and perfect, then you failed. So all of that demand on a lot of neurodivergent people who are already struggling. We're also in a cost of living crisis. I mean, it's also there's lots of religious holidays with various religions. If you've got any level of difficulty with religion or trauma that in relation to that can show up too. And even if you're fine now, your body can remember things and stresses and anniversaries of difficult times. We just went through a global pandemic. Lots of us lost people. There will be seats at tables this year that are empty, that will be really felt. I don't want to be that awful person that's just showed up and said, these are all the awful things that are happening now.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
But then, they're there whether we name them or not. So,
yeah. Let's do it. Let's be the Grinches.
Yeah.
Do you know what, though? I think that when we had this conversation with the person who kind of inspired this conversation, it was a moment of when I was like, oh, yeah. Not Christmas. We're going to say Christmas. I'll keep saying Christmas. I don't just mean Christmas. I mean the holiday season is stressful just because it's stressful. But then when you add all of that extra, I didn't realize for such a long time how much pressure I felt under around this time of year. Even just from now, actually, people are like, are you ready for Christmas? And what does that even mean?
As soon as Halloween's over.
Yeah. As soon as Halloween's over, are you ready for Christmas? I mean, do I have a choice?
So what does that, are you ready question, what's in that? Because to me it sounds like, have you started with the obligations that have been enforced on you by, I don't know, capitalism, white supremacy, all the things that you've been made to feel like make you a good person who is doing the right things by your family, community, and the world at large? Have you done them yet? You on it?
Are you ready to be magical?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And happy about it.
And be happy about it and be perfect. And I'm not. I actually quite like some parts of Christmas. I like trees. I like Christmas trees. We have a 6-foot rainbow tree, our GADH tree.
Quite understated. What I expected.
Very subtle and understated. But I hate Christmas cards. I hate having to send Christmas cards. I don't really like receiving Christmas cards. It makes me feel very anxious and guilty and full of shame that I can't even do that right. Once a year, I can't send 20 people a card through the post. I literally can't. And I know this is an ongoing joke, but people who are in our neurocurious cohort will know how difficult I find it to do things involving the post office, even though the post office is down the corner from me. They have been waiting since August for notebooks that still are not out of my house. So yeah, I didn't realize, I didn't realize how stressful and how overwhelming and how unpleasant I found some parts of it.
So Christmas cards are this like weird social contract, but it's not made explicit. So, and also for neurodivergent people, sometimes we don't understand the implicit stuff around. We just say it as it is, and then we know what we're dealing with. But so the deal with Christmas cards is like, I send you one, then you know that I've thought of you. So now you're in a contract with me where you have to send one back, or I feel like our friendship isn't legit because I'm the person that's gone to more effort, and if you really loved me you would send one back. That's so ableist, because there's a lot of privilege in being able to send a Christmas card. First, you've got to be able to afford Christmas cards and stamps and have some,
and you've got to be able to write,
and you've got to be able to write and have time and have the executive function to make a list and check it twice and all that jazz, and then put it in the envelope and have the stamps, and then to be able to get to the post office
and not lose them
near you.
Yeah, Christmas cards are horse shit.
Yeah, executive function gets written off as
and in my family, Christmas cards also mean the annual roundup round robin letter. So not only do you have a Christmas card, but inside said Christmas card, there's this year, this is what we've done. At Easter, we visited blah, blah, blah. In the summer, we holidayed in Tuscany. All of that. That's the expectation in our family. So it's not just a Christmas card. It's also a freaking novella about how wonderful your life is and how great your year's been. And I don't think my family want to know what happened for us most of the time. This year, I managed to not kill myself again. Yay!
Yeah, I managed to rest when I was tired. The general suicidality of the people in my household just ramped down to about a 7, which is a really good year. Like,
do you really want to know? Although this year, I am considering, because I wrote a book, as you know. I wrote a book. I think this year I might just send everybody the book. Hey, I wrote a book. I won't get around to it. But yeah. Sharon says the round robin letter is the worst. Just bragging, really. Yeah. It's not unpleasant. Like I like that people do it is fine, but
we have this kind of we're kind of wired for comparison, right? To sort of like, oh, you did this. Oh, actually, well, success for me, if success was a thing that we feel like we got to this year, look like this. And now I don't feel like I can tell you that because you did all this and we kept ourselves alive. And to be honest, there's nothing more important than keeping yourselves alive. But
do you think people are saying I should send the book? Do you think I could? Do you think I could just send it? Like, let this be the end to the annual round robin until you've written a book. I don't want to hear from you at Christmas.
Yeah. She's written a book. I don't know. She's been a bit quiet about it, but
I will have you know that it's the proudest piece of executive functioning I've ever managed, and I refuse to be ashamed of it.
I'm proud of you. I'm astonished and proud of you because I know how many millions of steps there were in that. And you just...
I didn't just do it. I didn't. Like, I
No, you
didn't.
didn't just.
That's why I've been banging on about it.
I know you didn't just do it, but you did it.
I did do it. Anyway, so Christmas.
Yeah.
So, before we were talking about this, we were talking about some of the things that are useful around being kind to yourself and being kind to other people around this, because we don't want it to become a them and us. We don't want it to be like we're over here hating Christmas and they're over there having a great time and we're gonna try and ruin their Christmas as well. That's not what this is about. But one of the things that you said, and you said it in Curious last week, and we talked about it quite a lot, is this thing about stories.
Yeah.
So do you want to expand on that a little bit?
Well, there's all this messaging that happens around, like, what is Christmas? What does it mean to you? What should it be like if it's right? Who has what expectations about it, and what story do you tell yourself about what needs to be done for you to have done Christmas, and who do you need to please, and what are the rules? What are you managing to try and make the perfect Christmas, or even just an okay Christmas for everyone else? What kind of story is wrapped around that? Is it that you should all sit down at a table together? Is it that everyone should have presents? Is it that there should be stockings, that there should be decorations, and that has to look a particular way or feel a particular way, and everyone should partake in the same thing together? And it doesn't matter to me, but it will be awful for my mum, for example, if this doesn't happen. Like, what are you telling yourself about Christmas, and whose expectations are you meeting at what cost? And what is the kind of scenario trying to avoid by getting everything just right? What do you fear might happen if you don't do all the things that you're doing and running yourself into the ground? Because
that's what we're trying to think about, isn't it? We're trying to think about self-preservation and damage limitation, given that everyone finds Christmas holidays stressful on some level. Even people who absolutely freaking adore Christmas, I would argue they probably find it most stressful, actually. Elle says it's letting other people down. Yeah. Rosie says, being a single mother simplifies it for me. No round robin in our family, thank goodness. I keep Christmas really simple simple as possible. Although this year I have a few more gatherings, friends though not family, than I would have liked. Yeah.
So it sounds like there's some obligations, and now it's letting others down. So the idea that you have to do X, Y, and Z because it's more important to make sure other people are okay. And there's a reality in that, right? Because
that's the message of Christmas, right?
Yeah,
it's about you.
it's all well and good to say, yeah, we're doing this for other people, so I could just stop doing that and then everything would be fine. But when you stop pleasing other people after a lifetime of pleasing them, the people who have benefited from you not having your boundaries where they need to be to protect yourself tend to have a response when you start to put them where they need to be to protect yourself.
Yeah.
Because they do lose something. They do lose, and usually it's comfort.
Yeah. Sharon saying, as a family, we do some things we would rather not do because we have loved ones we want to include. Yeah. And there are people that I spend time with over Christmas who are not really my chosen people, but for that reason, you don't want those people to be on their own, and other people that I want to spend time with, they are their chosen people. So by association, they're my chosen people. And like, it's about the decision of, so I do that, and because I want to do that and I want to be with the other people, and I also do that in the energy of, what do I need to do to make this easier for myself and for them, so that I'm not grumpy and unpleasant to be around. Yeah, but I think it is really, we're not here going, just don't do it, because we know it's not that simple.
Yeah, I think a good starting position is acknowledging that it's hard and that you don't want to do it. It's not gaslighting yourself into like, I want to do this and I should want to do this, and I'm fine. It's okay to say I don't want to do this, and if I could have some accommodation or choice, another choice here, I would like to take that, because this is not feeling good.
Yeah.
And being able to have that witnessed by somebody else who can validate it for you, like, yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Your needs aren't met in that particular way. Yeah. But then the collaboration is, if there's room for any collaboration, which is, I don't love this, but I can do it, and that's a gift I'm going to give this family member, is I'm going to come and do this even though it's hard for me. Mm-hmm. What accommodation or support might you need around you, or what permission might you need from yourself or someone else to take care of yourself once you've done that thing that's probably a bit too much? What might you be able to put down because you've picked that up? Is there anything?
Yeah. So should we do some for instances? I just want to read this before we do that. Suzanne says, I'm feeling super proud of my child today. He advocated for himself at school by saying he wasn't comfortable with being in the Christmas play. He felt too crowded and asked to opt out. I got lots of sympathetic looks, sad looks from other parents as we left, but I'm so proud of him. Yes. Yeah. My God. If we all were more used to doing that from an earlier age, oh my God, how different things would be.
Yeah. That's an awesome piece of self-advocacy.
Yeah. So so let's take it back a bit. If there are things that you are being asked to do or expected to do and you don't want to do them, and you actually actively want to opt out, what do we do around that to make that more comfortable for ourselves, to like, because I think we trip ourselves up over that, don't we? Like, how do I do this without hurting people's feelings? I'm just all alive, mate. Okay. No. Okay. Have fun. Sorry. Yeah. What some tips around that?
Okay. So ideally, we'd be able to have a conversation, which is, so historically we've done this at Christmas, and I do that because I know how important it is to you, and I love you, and it matters. The cost for me of that is this, and I really struggle with it. So I'm wondering if we could have a conversation about how we could, like, whether we could collaborate and come to some kind of compromise on it. Or it could be, so I can't do that this year. It's okay to say I just can't, or I won't do that this year because the cost for me is too much. But I love you, and it's not a lack of love. It's not the absence of love. Because sometimes when somebody removes something, or we perceive them as removing something that matters to us, we can feel it as rejection.
Yeah.
A rejection of us and a lack of love. But if you know somebody is not doing something because the cost to them would be so great that they wouldn't be able to recover, I can't think of anything at Christmas that is so important to me that if it cost somebody I love so much that they couldn't bear it, I would want them to do it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, what could we do instead? Or like, what would be a way to spend time with each other where we are okay and where we can care for another? Now, I know that's not the case for everyone. Yeah. But I think it's the case for a lot of people, and we're so worried about letting people down that we don't have the conversation.
We won't even bring it up.
Yeah. And so more often than not, we end up upholding something and a dynamic that doesn't serve either of us, maybe.
Yeah. Charlotte says this: we retreat to our household only, self-preservation and lessons learned over time. Every year I grow in confidence of saying, no, we'll not be coming, very sorry. Family is a travel away that would need to include overnight stays. And we have the added complication of our youngest birthday on Boxing Day. So the 25th and 26th are protected for us in our own home. Away from those dates, we can be a bit more flexible to go and visit with the family with firm boundaries of how things need to be. We need downtime. Yeah.
That's protected. Can't do this because X, Y, Z. We might have some more flexibility around here, but we have to hold that.
Yeah, we've always had that arrangement because I'm not with Theo's dad. So from the beginning, I always said, whatever happens at Christmas, Theo will always wake up at my house on Christmas morning. I'm not going to be on my own on Christmas morning. I refuse. So it was kind of selfish, but also like that has always meant that I can always say, no, I'm sorry. We spend Christmas Eve at our house and we wake up together on Christmas morning. We can do things elsewhere, but that's that's our time. I mean, and I expect that at some point Theo won't want to do that anymore, and that's when he'll have to have the conversation. Mum, I know you say you always want me to wake up at your house on Christmas morning, but I'd like to do something else. And then I'll cry and then I'll get over it. But yeah, I think that's really. I think the other thing about that boundary setting of I will do this or I can't do this. I think we trip ourselves up over. We have to get that perfect. We have to be really good at boundary setting. It's okay to just be like, for it to be messy.
I don't want to.
Yeah. It's okay to just be like, I know this might not make total sense, but we're not going to do that. That's okay too.
Yeah. And then we have to move to that there are people who can't, because often that involves a level of privilege, being able to say no to something.
Of course.
So it might be that you have a family member who, no matter how well you explained that, would react to it in a way that meant that they would be so offended that they wouldn't speak to you, or they've made life difficult. And you might rely on them for something really important. Like, for example, they might be a carer. And you don't have the privilege of being able to rock the boat in that particular relationship, and therefore you're going to make the decision to go ahead, keep a commitment to something that you don't really want to, and that it's going to cost you too much, but you haven't got another option. You haven't got the resources for another option right now.
Yeah.
And in those situations, I think it's really important to think about supports, harm reduction and supports. So if you're able to make it so that you're going to do that, but you've got a way to time boundary it, so put in an exit strategy, or if you can make it so that you go somewhere else and then you can leave, that's great. But again, not everyone can leave and time boundary it. So what do you need around you? What kind of resources will support you? What kind of sensory accommodations might make it more bearable? It's just, I think we talk a lot about choice, and privilege is so integrally linked to choice.
Of course. Yeah.
And I wouldn't want to not attend to that, really.
Yeah. Because in some situations it isn't safe, like, to have those conversations. It's not worth it. It's, you genuinely don't want to upset the other person, and they wouldn't understand.
You aren't resolved enough for the fallout.
Yeah, the fallout would be too unpleasant. Or you just even don't have the capacity to have that conversation, because it takes energy. That would, so sometimes you're like, okay, we're just going to do it. We're just going to get through it. So I guess it's, what do you do to get through it? What do you do so for instance, Sharon says, I've got us a pair of Loop earplugs for Christmas. Yeah. But things like that, I think, are really valuable. I think, like, when we travel with young children, like if we've ever done this, if you're planning a long car journey, and you're someone that has the luxury of being able to go somewhere with your children, we always think, right, okay, what we're going to do to keep them entertained in the car. And I think that we should do that for ourselves, and we can do that for ourselves as adults. What do I need in my little backpack of, because we had a conversation with a parent, didn't we? And they said, oh, my son has this backpack that he takes with him. We're like, all right. And we both said, what's in your backpack? Because, there's, for me, it would be, I would take my slippers, because I hate having cold feet. And at Christmas, people get dressed up, and, like, I'm not comfortable in heels. And so a non-negotiable would be, I'd take my slippers. And that would be my, wherever I'm going, I'd take my slippers, because my feet will then be comfy, and I won't have the sensory nightmare of walking on other people's floors. What else?
Oh, somebody's just said saying no to that friggin' elf is probably the best decision I made. Oh yeah. Yes.
Oh,
hear that. So I pretty much don't go anywhere without my headphones and my loops, because sometimes I need the stimulation of noise, and sometimes I need to just take the noise down. I can be present in it, but I just need to take it down.
So what's the difference? Because I haven't got loops. So what's the difference between
it's just
the
like
two?
putting mutes on your ears. It's not noise cancelling, but it just takes. So if I'm in a group of, you've been with me when we've been in group settings, I am not good at managing. I love being with groups of my friends. I love that. And I'm overwhelmed within about 10 minutes. Yeah. But if I can take the noise of it down, because I can't choose what sensory information I take in, so it all comes at me, and I need to be able to sort of turn the noise down on some of it, and that can be visually as well as audibly. Loops are kind of like putting a mute on. I'm still here, I can still hear what's going on, but it's just it down.
Yeah. Sharon says we took fluffy blankets even before we knew. Yes.
Yeah. So being able to have regulation breaks outside of the room. So I used to always make sure I was the one that cooked. I love cooking, but it was also a bit of stress to cook for everyone, but it meant that I could reasonably be outside of those rooms.
In my family, even though none of them know, very few of them know that they're neurodivergent. Sorry, being joined by a dog. In my family, it's like a fight to see who can clear the dishes first and who can like get in the kitchen first. And I think it is like a way of self-regulating, being out of the noise. I read a thing about, if you want to spot, the autistic people at a big gathering, they're the people washing up or emptying bins or clearing plates or, just.
So, I mean, if you're people that want to support your neurodivergent family, like giving permission at the start of the day, saying, hey, I know this day is a lot, just so you know, it's totally fine for you to take 10 minutes if you want. My bedroom's upstairs, or the kitchen's free, or like whatever. There's a space you can go to if you need a minute. That's a way to love us.
Yeah.
If there's a dog that needs walking, you can offer to walk the dog. If you need a bit of a reason or a scaffold, because people won't just accept, I need a regulation break, there are ways that we do it, right? Oh, I've just got to take this call. You can put an alarm on and say, oh, I've got to take a call, I'll be back. I've got a friend that needs me.
Yeah. My friend's on their own on Christmas Day. I'm just going to have a quick walk around the block and give them a call. Yeah. No one's going to question that.
And if they do,
they might, but even if they do, like,
yeah. You don't have to answer it to anyone. You can just say, that's what's happening.
Natalie's asking, which loops have you got?
Oh, I don't know. I can't answer that right now, but I will.
Put it in the comments.
Yeah.
I went to a friend's 60th on Saturday, and she cleared 2 different spaces in case my kids came. She's a keeper.
Yeah, awesome. So board games, they come out at Christmas. Now, I quite like some games, but I really like the games that are parallel played, like that sort of turn-taking, waiting thing where everyone gets super competitive. So if there's a game you like, take that game with you. if you're somebody that finds the games difficult, you can maybe take some control over, or have some choices that you're all right with, or just say no if you can.
Yeah.
I'd love to watch though, so maybe you'd like to be present and with people.
I'll be the banker. I don't want to play Monopoly.
It's like the Christmas games version of sitting in the library at school, isn't it?
Yeah. Or I got this, take something with you that like take a book, even if it's not one you got for Christmas, but take it with you. Actually, I got this book and I really would like to read some of it. So you go and play that game and I'm going to read a chapter of my book. It's Christmas.
I worked for Childline for 10 years, so I would just work on Christmas night and New Year's Eve.
Yeah. And I worked on New Year's Eve for years when I worked in hospitality.
But it served me really well.
Yeah. Sharon says, everyone desperate to cook, wash up, anything rather than sitting in the living room being bored, but also overstimulated. Yes. God, yes. Yeah,
both under and overstimulated is an itchy place to be.
Yeah. Also, if you've got kids, the thing that was always tricky, this is so funny. When we were kids, so we were churchgoers, So when we were kids, we were allowed in the morning on Christmas morning, and God, it's so rigid. We were allowed a Christmas stocking and one present before church. Then we went to church. Then we got back from church. Then we had Christmas dinner. Still no presents have been opened. Then after dinner, we would sit down and my mum would have a list of all the people that had bought us presents and on a notepad. And then she would write our name on the side and we'd open the presents from all those people. She'd write it down. Boxing Day was thank you letter day. Now we tear them all open. No one gets thank you letters. If you send a present, you write a thank you letter. Don't send me a present.
And I don't think people necessarily understand that gift giving or gift receiving isn't an easy thing for people sometimes. Yeah. Because if it isn't what you wanted and you aren't able to respond in the right way, or you're so anxious that it will or won't be what you wanted, and then you're worried about how much money somebody spent on a thing, so you like there's just so much tied up with gift giving and the social contract of it and what it means,
and the expectation
and overwhelm. So if you have a kid who really struggles with gift giving, it's okay if there aren't gifts for them on Christmas. Like, if you're able to have a conversation, would Christmas be easier if we didn't do presents on Christmas Day? Like, if you have a present, or also sometimes it can just be telling them what you've got them or asking them what they want and getting them just that, so it doesn't have to be a surprise, because the surprise is horrendous. Not everyone loves surprises.
Yeah. Oh, and having to pretend that you like the thing you've been given, or when you get the same thing off two different people. I learned that when I was a kid, that if someone gives you a present, you've already got it. You mustn't tell them you've already got it. Why? So weird. Saying thank you and being expected to be grateful is why we don't do presents in front of others. Yeah. Take your presents home and open them on your own if you want. And so the walking around the block thing, walking the dog thing, setting times, doing things. I'm wondering what other things people might want to add in the comments that they maybe find useful for themselves. There's people like saying that they do their own thing, which I love. Christmas is our own version and it suits us. No Christmas dinner, no visits to or by us. We don't do gifts unless our team would like something specific. It has to be what's right for everyone in the family. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And also, you don't have to have a dog. You can just be like, I would really like some fresh air. I'm going to have a little walk. I'm going to go and start a new tradition of a Christmas walk off your trot.
Christmas Day walk. Yeah. Board games, we like them, but have a novelty-seeking ADHD PDA who needs to spice it up with new rules, and an autistic who needs the rules to be obeyed. Yeah, games are tricky in our house for that reason, and like not doing the not following the rules causes lots of problems in our house. So we tend to either play games that are really simple or really silly, that are going to be easy for us.
And if someone says I don't want to play, just believe them. Yeah. Don't try and
give me 1 minute. You're gonna have to speak without me. 1 sec.
No. So now she said I have to speak without her, and I don't want to speak. But PDA, that's fine. I can do it. Yeah. So if somebody says they don't want to play a game, you can just believe them. You can ask if there's anything that they would need, like if there's anything that would help to include them. But you can just say it's all right. You can do what you want to do. Like believe people and just accept people when they say no thank you to something, rather than kind of coerce them into it. We're really open to being coerced and abandoning ourselves if enough pressure is put on us.
Yeah. Do you know what else? This is interesting. Charlotte says, Betty, get out. Charlotte says, we always have quiet time in the afternoon, which means everyone in their own space, doing their own thing, not necessarily quiet, whether that's reading, gaming, walking, watching a film, but everyone has space. Yeah. Like that thing of when, sorry, it's bonkers here. I'm sorry. 4:30, this is what happens. When at Christmas, we were always like, I hated sitting on the kids' table. I didn't want to sit on the kids' table, but I had to sit on the kids' table. But I was the eldest cousin. And then there would be this expectation that we'd all do something together. And I would always want to like look at my things that I'd been given and want to be left to get on with it. But there's this like, oh, you know, don't be rude. Don't go and sit in the corner and read your book. Play with your cousins. I don't want to. I want to read my book.
Yeah, and I didn't find other children easy because they were less forgiving when I didn't understand the situation, whereas the adults would. So being allowed to just sit with the adults quietly rather than being made.
This year we're going to arrange a time for people to leave, as we all like to know this, but we've never said so before. I like that.
Yeah. How are you going to enforce that? Because I really want there to be a big bell.
I want a bell. I'd want a bell. Ding-a-ling-a-ling, everybody out! Ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling. Yeah. I want to know. That's brilliant, though.
You're my boundary hero right now.
When someone invites you to their house, or when you're going to someone's house on Christmas Day, then accept the invitation, but then say, that's amazing. Thank you so much. We will come. And we'll leave at 5, if that's all right. Before you even get there. I love that. Rosie said she's always Sharon's saying she's going to use a massive alarm clock. Charlotte's suggesting a massive alarm clock for Sharon to get rid of people. I mean, one of those like one of those.
So here's another thing. We're talking about what it's like to be with people that you want to be with but need time away from. There are people who are not going to be with their family this year. So if you're estranged from your family or your family have gone no contact with you, if you lost people in the last few years, like lots of us have, it's not going to be how other people, like your Christmas is going to be different to how the majority of people are assuming Christmas looks.
Yeah.
So what's going to be comforting? What's going to be soothing? We were talking about resources, and I would say Standalone are a really great organisation for people who are estranged from family or have family who are estranged from them, both sides of that coin. Sarah Milliken started the Join In hashtag for Christmas and New Year, and really any time when people come together and might find that they're feeling a bit lonely and wanting some co-regulation and some company. If you follow the Join In hashtag on Twitter for Christmas or New Year, that can be a really lovely community to be in. Samaritans are always there, Childline are there, 24 hours all throughout Christmas. Think about what's going to be comforting. It's okay for you to completely ignore all of Christmas, all of the holiday season. You don't have to do any of it. It's okay to do all of it and do all of it on your own. Any version is all right. You might want to be a bit busier that day if it's tough to be on your own. Like there are lots of volunteering things that you can get involved with around Christmas as well if you need to be in community. Is Standalone for older people too? Yeah. Oh, well, it's specifically for people who are estranged.
People who are estranged, isn't it?
Yeah. So it doesn't matter what the age is, but it's not specifically for elderly people. Silverline, I think, is specifically for elderly people.
Yeah.
Regardless of estrangement.
Yeah. Silverline helpline. There you go.
Yeah.
Also, that thing of the opposite of that. So when we were kids, I know I'm telling you a lot about it, but anyway, you're used to that. It's just all about me. When we were children, we were always told like not to bother other people on Christmas Day. Like I had a friend that lived across the road from me, and I would see her every day, but I wasn't allowed to go and knock on her door on Christmas Day. And like I often think that there's that thing of there's this unwritten rule that you let other people do the things with their own families on Christmas Day and you don't infringe on that. And if you're someone who's whose regulation comes from chosen family rather than from birth family or from, actual family, that can be really difficult too. So it's useful to have a conversation with the people who are your safe people regulation people in advance and say, on Christmas Day, I'm going to feel a bit crummy. Will you have capacity for me to message you and check in with you? Like, or would it be okay if, or,
Yeah. Do you need some space, or can I still message you? Is that right?
Yeah.
And if you are the person that can recognize in that in your friends, it might be easier for you to reach out to them than for them to ask you.
Yeah.
So you can let them know that you're still there.
Yeah.
If you are, not as an obligation. If it isn't free, if it costs you something that's too much, that's all right. But if you would want someone to know that actually nothing changes for you, you're still textable, you're still as you would have been, then let them know that they're not too much and that they're welcome.
And sometimes I think if you are going into a situation where you might feel that you need some help regulating, having someone on the other end of a WhatsApp message or the other end of a text message who you can text from the bathroom, or just like somewhere to dump the rant so that it doesn't, because you don't want to do it in the living room. I think that can be helpful too.
Gamifying things I was talking to you about, right? I have been the person in the past who's survived family stuff by making a game out of it with friends. So designing a bingo card and putting on it the things that you think will be said or done that would previously drive you a bit bonkers, but they're all worth a certain number of points. And your friend's doing that for their situation as well. And then throughout the day, just texting every time you get to cross one off your list and then see who wins at the end of the day. And it's just a little thing, but it once turned out a family situation that would have been quite painful into that was crappy, but I've got 56 points. So almost like willing them to happen so that you
Rose is liking this. I think our Neurocurious cohort will get behind this. There'll be a bingo card in our Facebook group before the day is out, I imagine.
It could be a phrase that always comes up. It could be somebody's eye roll at a particular moment of every, like, what are the things that happen that happen? Put them on a card, show your friend that this is what you're playing with. Let them share theirs. And that's Christmas bingo.
Yeah.
Family event bingo.
Yeah.
It isn't about bullying the people around you. It's just gamifying something so that you can change your reaction to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shitmas bingo. Yes.
Shitmas bingo. Emma said they used to play this in meetings. We used to do it in meetings. We used to have like buzzword things in meetings and like phrases. And mine was always blue sky thinking. I always had to say blue sky thinking in a meeting.
Diarize.
360-degree feedback and a win-win situation. But Emma said at work they also used to do sexual eating where the team leader would bring snacks and we had to eat it provocatively. I was always chicken. I wouldn't recommend that for the Christmas day.
I would.
Table. What, sexual eating?
Yeah. And I want
weird Uncle Fred.
I recommend this.
Maybe not.
Or like, rude words and Scrabble. I don't know. But gamifying things generally and turning and finding humor in things and being able to share that with friends and be like, this is how I'm getting through. That's been a huge thing for me.
Emma's good for this. The other gamifying thing my friend does is bring an ornament to someone's house and place it to see when people notice within all the Christmas stuff. Oh my God. Brilliant. Do you know what I think is an amazing Christmas game that I've just come up with, and you can have this? When you go to someone's house, it's kind of theft, but
is it actual just theft though?
No, it's not actual theft. It's clever gamified theft. But you take a Christmas tree decoration in your pocket, and your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to take one off their tree and put yours on their tree. with no one noticing, and do that in everyone's house that you go to between now and Christmas. Drunk phonetic Scrabble is the best. If you can convincingly describe the made-up meaning, you can have the word.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think gamifying things. And actually that thing about the shitmas bingo, that's waterproofing yourself, isn't it? That's like thinking ahead to the things that might get said so that when they are said, they're kind of, they don't have as much power to hurt you.
Maybe.
Potentially.
Maybe. Yeah. You know it's going to happen, but you've prepared for it. And now you're like, see, 5 points to me. It happened. But I wasn't alone because I connected with someone at the point it happened. So instead of being in that moment hurt by it and alone, I went, ugh. And I reached out for my safe person who was in it with me and validated it as crappy and then went, yes, you win 5 points.
Yeah. Elaine says, we did weird presents from the charity shop at work once. And Charlotte says, our fun game is the £5 budget. The shittest charity shop Secret Santa gift for the family. The worst gift wins. We do that when we go on holiday. We do crap-tasket souvenirs. Maximum spend £5. And you've got to find the worst. Like anything in national dress made of shells is normally a strong contender. But yeah.
My stepbrother and I used to have like the weird, like the freakiest present competition. And he won one year with it was a picture of Jesus in a plastic frame, but there was a switch at the back, and when you flicked it, Jesus's eyes were red. I don't know what happened to that, but it was just like, okay, well, this is over now.
Yeah, this wins the world.
Yeah.
I also wonder about the aftercare. So let's say we've talked a little bit about if you can opt out. If you can't opt out, how to make it more bearable. Aftercare. Let's talk about that.
Well, like for a meltdown, what you want to do is reduce noxious stimuli, reduce demand, add whatever sensory is good and wait it out. So it might be that applies to Christmas as well. Like, just take out all the things that are awful, take out as many of the demands as you can. And I know that's an ideal situation because lots of the demands still continue. But if you have the opportunity to reduce demands on yourself for a good while after, and know that we are often slow processors emotionally, really great with the intellectualizing of things, but just take a while to feel the feels, then we're going to need more time and we might be more tired afterwards.
Yeah.
You might have been so understimulated, you need stuff, but you need the right kind of stuff, not just any old stuff. You need the right kind of stimulation that's caring.
Yeah. And is that the accommodation you need to make for yourself? If you're spending Christmas Day, for example, with lots of people, are you then making the accommodation for yourself as aftercare that on Boxing Day you won't speak to another living soul, for example? I mean, that's not always possible, but what are you? I used to always go to the cinema on Boxing Day on my own because Theo would be at his dad's. It's the best thing. There's hardly anyone in, and it's take a blanket, pick a mix from a shop, not the cinema because it's cheaper, and go and watch a film. Yeah. No one can talk to you during a film. Well, they can, but they're not meant to. It's good regulation.
And if they're not with you, they don't come in with you, then generally they tend not to.
Yeah.
And really.
Elle says, my little one has to go to the park after being at family. Yeah. So, do you need to go and swing on the monkey bars? Do you need to go and hang upside down on the climbing frame? And this is like anybody, not just young people. Do you need to be upside down? It's so funny. We went to an event and there were a few neurodivergent people there in September, and then we got told off because we were doing handstands. We were regulating. We'd been sat listening to people speak. And the person who told us off was like, would you do that at home? We're like, yeah.
Absolutely. 100%.
100%, wouldn't you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Sharon says, I always keep my eye on the prize alone time, doing whatever I want in the days following.
Yeah. So knowing that it isn't over just because the day is over, it'll be over when you feel like you've got back to some kind of status quo.
Yeah, for sure. So are you ready for Christmas, Kate Jones?
Well, yeah, in that I'm
It's
never
gonna
like
happen.
it will happen. It'll just happen, and it'll be a day, and then it'll be finished. Yeah. I'm Christmas. What I like about Christmas is that, generally speaking, there's the sense of people. No, lots of people are nicer at Christmas and more compassionate. Lots of people aren't. But I'm looking forward to a day off, except that it's on Sunday. Like, I will continue to see the young person that I would normally see on a Sunday on Christmas Day. So that's actually weirdly my what's the word? Like, you're right. Is there somewhere you're supposed to be?
No, it's just my phone going mental. Don't worry. Sorry.
I'm just being a dick. Some kind of grounding thing. What's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. There's a young person that I see at 8 o'clock on a Sunday, and I'm still going to see them because actually that would leave a gap in their schedule, and actually that'll be grounding for me to be like, at this point, I'm going to do that, and whatever happens during the day, I will do.
It'll be a nice bookend.
Yeah. So, everything else is really up for grabs, and I'm going to have some time off between Christmas and New Year. Yeah, just that.
I'm building a website between Christmas and New Year. Because I've written a book,
Yeah, you said.
I quite like the period between Christmas and New Year because although I do tend, I mean, I will have time off, but I do tend to get, like, quite often I'll get a chunky piece of work done, and I'll just give myself between Christmas and New Year to get it done. But it's kind of at my own pace, without too much pressure or a deadline, but it's something finite. And then it gives me that sort of sense of awe, but also because Chris is off during that period. So I don't feel like I have to. I just do. I'm like, it would be nice if I maybe got this done, but I don't do that. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's a different, and there isn't the same expectation of, no one wants, planning meetings or anything between Christmas and New Year.
No,
I actually prefer New Year to Christmas. Like, I prefer that period, that week between the two. Like, that's the time when you're allowed to kind of, it's like a dead time.
Stand down.
Yeah.
So I'm just aiming for a very low demand, just see how I go, attending to my needs as they come up, being kind to the people around me.
Yeah.
That's my thing.
So put you on the spot though. 2 or 3 things that you have done for yourself around Christmas or holidays that have made a difference and that make it nicer, more pleasant, more magical, less tiresome, less stressful.
Well, I'm staying put, so I'm not doing anything out of obligation, and that's a privilege.
Yeah.
I'm giving myself time off from the executive function tasks that have make me tired.
Yes.
And I'm going to connect with the people who I'm going to connect with the people who make me feel good about the world. And they aren't necessarily my biological family. A biological family, if you're watching this, they might also be you, but they might not be. But just the people who I love and who just make my world a good place. I'm going to make sure that I connect with them and in some way.
Yeah. I'm not sending Christmas cards. I haven't done for years. And I just let it be known that I don't do that. I do a charity donation, but I usually forget to tell people that too. I don't. I've stopped stressing about wrapping. I do still wrap things, but I like paper wrapping.
Right. Okay. I was like, I was just imagining that had been stressing you out years. You're wrapping.
Years of writing a rap every Christmas.
Yeah,
I'm really struggling for things to rhyme with
orange.
Exactly. And one of the things that I am looking forward to this year is that we've got something organized like for our little group of people in January. So I'm like, we're not even doing Christmas. I really like that because that means I don't have to think about anything for you lot until January. That takes quite a lot of pressure off.
I would like you to take the pressure off that entirely and know that you're a gift all year round and that you never owe me a present.
I know that. Right? I know that. Okay. But I want to do things. Well, also, you're all getting a copy of the book, obviously. A signed copy.
It's funny because it's true. I also tell people that if they think they haven't got a Christmas card from me, it's true. And if they imagine that they're not on my list, that's true because there isn't a list. So I just let people know that it's not that they're not on it, it's that it doesn't exist.
It's that I don't do it.
Yeah.
Same with postcards from holidays. I don't do postcards. I'm not on holiday to write your postcard to tell you that I'm on holiday. I'm on holiday having a break from bastards like you. Oh, okay. People wanting me to rap. That's not going to happen. For anyone who don't know what this means, int bomb is something that we talk about in You're Curious, and int bomb stands for I'm not the boss of me. Well, int bomb.
Oh, this is a mixture of things.
This is a mixture. So int boy is I'm not the boss of you, and tit bomb is time. Time isn't the boss of me. So I'm not sure what int bomb is. I'm not the boss of me, which is true for me, for sure. Yeah. So maybe that's my rap name. Anyway, thanks for today. For letting me ramble and for being with me while I ramble. We will, there are some links in the comments, and if you're watching this on replay and you want to, Suzanne got muddled up, that's okay.
Dyslexia is the boss of me, so it's fine.
But regardless of what you're doing over the holiday season or not, we're sending you lots of love and kindness, and we look forward to seeing you on the other side. Bring your completed Shitmas bingo cards and we'll compare notes. Yeah. And we're sending you lots of love because we know it's not an easy time for everybody, or for anybody, in fact. And we should maybe have I'm really bad at goodbyes. You know this. So now you need to wrap up because you're better at this bit than I am.
You keep doing that. You said, just keep talking. I'm going to go away. And then I was just sat there going,
well, I wasn't. I had to attend to something. I didn't do it on purpose.
But then you told me to do a thing and then I couldn't do the thing.
It's almost like you're demand avoidant or something.
And now I've got to wrap it up. Let's do it really smoothly. Should we just go 1, 2, 3, goodbye and then end it?
Yeah. Are we going on the 3? On the goodbye, after the goodbye?
1, 2, 3, goodbye, end.
Okay. Ready?